Hey, Charlie, can you see, is that the plane?
Pan Am is a Pan Am. Just take it.
It's a Pan Am.
Washington, July the 9th, 1983. The start of a new life for two defectors from the Soviet Union.
Washington, Victoria, what are you going to be doing?
3, 2, 1. And here she is, 23-year-old Victoria Mullova. She's the youngest Soviet defector yet.
A week ago, a Finnish taxi slipped across the border into northern Sweden. Huddled in the back, Soviet conductor Vakhtang Jordania and a 23-year-old girl violinist Victoria Mullova. They'd been planning their escape for 2 years.
Where in Washington? Any idea?
Their chance to defect came during a concert tour of Finland. Leaving her state-owned Stradivarius in the hotel, Victoria and Vakhtang had shaken off their KGB minder and arrived without any money in Stockholm, where they sought political asylum at the US Embassy. They're receiving help from an emigre organization, and they have a powerful ally in the exiled cellist and conductor, Mstislav Rostropovich.
Watch the mics, come on, watch the mics.
But once the sensation of their defection is old news, Victoria Mullova and Vakhtang Jordania will have to make it on their own in a strange new world governed by a very different set of values.
Finnish newspaper suggested that one reason her concert appearances were restricted was because she was not a member of the Communist Party. Did she believe that had any effect on her restrictions?
Сокращали концерты.
Нет, это не потому.
No, the restrictions were not because I was not a member of the party.
Ed Rogers, Washington Times. A follow-up question that almost duplicates the opening question. Does this represent some form of political harassment?
По вашему мнению, это политическое преследование?
Трудно сказать. Я не знаю.
Это нормальные обстоятельства в Советском Союзе.
Это всегда так происходит в Советском Союзе.
That's what always happens in the Soviet Union.
A violinist from the Soviet Union made a debut in Washington today. Bob Simon reports.
Like so many Soviet artists, her ambition has been to conquer the United States. She's off to a very good start. Victoria Mullova is 23 and talented and pretty, and she sure can carry a tune. Move over, Nureyev. Take a bow, Baryshnikov. Mullova has come to town. Victoria Mullova won't be playing the Urals or the Ukraine anymore, and that prospect doesn't sadden her in the slightest. Maybe she doesn't realize just how tough it is to make it in the music world over here, or maybe she suspects that somehow she's got it made.
WTOP News Time at 6:29. Good morning, Washington. Today's headlines.
Within 24 hours, the American press and television have made it quite clear that they're more interested in the attractive girl of 23 who left her Strad behind in a Finnish bedroom than in the conductor nearly twice her age who left his orchestra behind in Kharkov.
I'm Bill Curtis. An exclusive first interview with defecting Soviet violinist Victoria Mullova. And to talk with Liza Minnelli. Wake up to what's happening on the CBS Morning News.
You just use a little bit of makeup.
Without using salt. Now steaks really sizzle.
Mrs. Dash.
Vegetables snap.
Stand by, Washington. Coming to you next.
Natural goodness. Houston, with no bitter taste of salt substitutes. New Mrs. Dash, a healthy, zestier way to shake your craving for salt.
And if they just look right into the camera when they answer her, that will be just perfect. It's as easy as that.
So stand by, ready to cue her. Coming to her on 3.
Miss Mullova, Mr. Jordania, welcome. Miss Mullova, your music is thrilling. If you could tell the American people one thing about why you had to leave the Soviet Union, what would that be?
Единственная причина была то, что мне не давали заниматься.
If I'm talking about the single reason, I would say that I was not allowed to practice freely what I do the best, play my music.
You know that the Soviets say, as they always do, that it's the corruption of money that lures artists away. Did money, the anticipation of material goods, play any part?
Потому что для меня главное это мое дело, моя работа.
For me, the most important is the creative process I'm involved into.
This question is just for me, because I read in the newspaper that you left your Stradivarius behind.
Вы оставили свою скрипку в
Да,
Страдивариусе.
я оставила свою скрипку в Финляндии, потому
Yes,
что
I did leave my violin in Finland.
Because it's not my violin, it belongs to state's government.
Aha, the English emerges.
Fears that they might not be granted asylum on the grounds of political persecution are now over. Rostropovich telephoned the White House. Permission to remain has been granted.
Сейчас полное облегчение, потому что все, что мы планировали, долго планировали, и каждый день, мне, например, это снилось просто каждую ночь. Все это, в общем, произошло так, как должно было произойти по русскому обычаю, чтобы не сглазить, да. Все произошло точно по плану. Нигде не было сделано ни одной ошибки, и слава богу, потому что одна ошибка могла привести к трагическому финалу. Сейчас полное счастье просто.
У меня было такое твердое убеждение, что когда мы попадем в Вашингтоне, мне должно это понравиться. Вот. И мы даже немножко так разошлись сначала мнениями, потому что...
Я немножко волновалась перед тем, как приехала. Волновалась, как будет, что за люди.
Америке, да,
неизвестно ничего, потому что ничего не знаем. И, в общем...
Мы попали в точку.
And what about people back home? Have you been in contact with your mother?
Not yet.
Are you going to phone her up?
Not now, but later, a little.
Do you think she understands?
Maybe
difficult
yes,
to say. Maybe yes, maybe
no.
I know that she would like to have me in Moscow, of course, because she is my mother. I don't know. It's difficult to say because I haven't spoken to her about my plan, and so I'm a little afraid to contact with her now.
Симфонического оркестра Союза СССР выступает Виктория Муллова, Советский Союз.
Back in the Soviet Union a year before the defection, a Western film crew was in Moscow to film the Tchaikovsky competition. Because she speaks some English, Victoria was singled out for special attention.
If I win at the competition, my career opened, and I'd like to play everywhere, all over the world.
Конечно, хотелось бы, чтобы ее игра была высоко оценена, но я не знаю, как жюри решит.
Что я думаю о своей дочери? Как любой отец, я могу только гордиться ею.
Mullova was spotted young. By the age of 3, she was taking violin lessons, practicing between 4 and 8 hours a day while other children played. When she was 5, she knew she'd be a professional violinist, and at 9 she joined the elite at Moscow's Central Music School. At 15, her teacher was master violinist Leonid Kogan. She traveled and won prize after prize for the Soviet Union in all the great festivals of Europe. Her latest and finest achievement was the Tchaikovsky competition itself. Mullova was being groomed for Soviet stardom. She was ideologically safe, and her talent would add luster to Soviet prestige. But as official portraits were painted and official films made, Mullova had other thoughts that she kept to herself and one other person. That person was Vakhtang Jordania, conductor of the Kharkov Symphony Orchestra, her mentor and her lover. No one could have guessed that behind the stern composure of these two artists was a passion and a plan to escape to the West, where there was freedom of travel, repertoire, and interpretation. For 2 years, the couple ingratiated themselves with the state musical authorities by doing what they were told. At last, their chance came. Victoria was offered a tour of Finland without her usual accompanist. At great risk, she suggested that Vakhtang should fill the gap. He had not played seriously for 20 years, but during the months it took for the KGB clearances, Vakhtang mastered the piano. All this time, they were quietly selling off their possessions. With the money, they bought 2 antique violin bows as an investment for the future. But they told no one of their plan, and when Victoria's family said goodbye, they had no idea that they would never see their daughter again. Now in Washington, with media interest waning, Victoria has time to reflect on the events of the momentous month.
Sometimes when I think about Moscow, it's difficult to think that I've been there. I took some pictures of my family when I thought that I see them for the last time. It was very painful to think about it. Of course, my mother is crying every night. I think so. I'm sure. It's very painful for me to think about it, because now I feel so bad when I think about them. So I can imagine how bad for them be without me. Но я должна чем-то жертвовать. Так я жертвую тем, что я не могу видеть. Я могу общаться со своими близкими. Я жертвую этим. Так бы я пожертвовала всей своей жизнью. Я бы не имела своего искусства, возможности играть столько, сколько я хочу и так далее. Я бы жертвовала этим. Тут надо просто выбирать, что главнее для тебя. Для меня главнее была работа, моя скрипка.
When Victoria had slipped out of the hotel in Finland, she was without a violin.
I didn't feel well because I had no violin with me. My instrument, my hands, because what can I do without violin?
But by the time she left Stockholm, she had this Guarnieri. It was yet another twist in her remarkable story. An old man, a Swedish collector, moved by her plight, came to the airport and thrust his own priceless violin into her hands.
A Guarnieri or Stradivari has a great number of timbres and huge possibilities for making discoveries over and over again.
It soon becomes obvious to Victoria that she will have to go to New York, the commercial and artistic capital of the United States.
It was like crazy coming from Moscow, from Russia, without this experience. And before, all the time I was shopping, and I was saying myself that I have to stop it, and I couldn't. What about another?
Yes.
No, not Russian, from another country. It's from where?
Caviar.
From where?
American caviar.
It's natural.
This is better. How many pieces?
6.
6.
It's unbelievable. I've never seen so much food in my life. I wanted just to buy everything and to have it once. Can I have, please, some mussels? Half a pound. Mussels. Is it mussels?
Money is running out. It's time now to sell her sole disposable assets, the 2 antique Kittel violin bows she'd brought from Moscow. With luck, they might fetch $40,000.
I heard about you in Moscow 1 year ago. What do you think?
You got that in Russia, the Kittel?
I got it a few months ago.
In Moscow, yes. I'm not quite sure it's a Kittel. No, I don't think so. No, I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's a German Boston Kittel. Like is very often the case.
Yes?
Yeah.
But it's, I have a violin. And the sound...
That's very nice.
Yes, but the sound is better with this.
To play with, yeah? Actually, this is, again, not a violin. You bought that in Moscow, too?
Yes, but...
very few nice things come out of Russia. Very rare. Most of the time, it's not genuine. With the exception of the instrument from the state. Most of what I saw came out of Russia was usually not good. I can show you a Kittel. I have a very nice one upstairs. It's in very good condition. It's a beautiful bow. And strong. All right, now, here is a Stradivarius, which is 1723, which is called the Portuguese, because it came out of Portugal. Okay.
The bows are not genuine. The only thing now Victoria has for sale is her own talent. Fortunately for her, Rostropovich has mentioned her playing to the Bonaparte of American impresarios, a man called Harold Shaw. Shaw had also seen Victoria on television and thought that she would sell in America. He has drafted a contract and sent it to Victoria's lawyer. With an imperfect grasp of English, Victoria now goes to discuss with one of America's most adroit agents, Harold Shaw, the small print of a contract she barely understands.
I got your contract already. Your lawyer called yesterday and asked me to make 2 or 3 changes, which I did, which are very easy.
Because I don't know the language of lawyers, so I asked him to call because it's easy.
No one understands the language of lawyers. One of the things that I wanted to ask you that I don't know yet, are you Jewish or not Jewish?
No.
You're not. We always have to be careful that we don't schedule a Jewish artist on the Jewish holiday. That doesn't work. So
They don't do work at the holidays?
No, it's a holiday. It's also a very serious day and very religious day. Do you want to sign first? Yes.
Yes, and what is this?
This is your contract.
It's the whole... Can I read?
Yes, you can read it. You can take your time. You don't have to be pushed into anything, and it always can be your decision. That is part of the new world for you.
Okay.
This is your name over here. Now once more.
Do you know about another concert during this season, or not yet?
I talked with the man from Switzerland on the phone, and I have fixed that. That is to go in January to Switzerland. That's fine.
That's fine?
Yes.
So I'll go?
Yes.
Okay.
but he's talking very little money, and that isn't my language for you. You cannot do the things that you now have to do. First, you're going to have an apartment here, a place to live, and it's going to be very expensive. Maybe one day you will want to buy a different violin. And a different violin is going to cost you $250,000, $300,000. That's a lot of money. And you will never get it off of playing small engagements for small fees.
We have a manager in Europe.
Yes.
He take how many percent?
He takes 12.5%.
12.5.
Yes.
Oh, so it will be with your percent. It will be 22.5.
In most cases, we adjust it so that you are never paying more than 20. Don't worry about the 20. Worry about the 80.
80.
How big is the 80 is what to worry about.
Yes, something. Yes. Yes. No.
Harold Shaw is quick to engage Jonathan Feldman to accompany Victoria. 3 days after this, their first meeting, they'll be performing in public in Toronto in the first of 10 concerts Harold Shaw has organized for her.
Well, I'll try. Just a minute. No.
Wait a minute.
No.
That's not it?
No.
Sounds good to me.
No.
In these 3 days, Victoria has much to learn, not only to establish an empathy with Feldman, but to change her concert presentation.
Yes.
All right. I'll give it a try.
In these 3 days, she's been taught by Feldman and Harold Shaw how to bow, how to radiate, and how to walk on stage. For the severe, unsmiling style of Soviet soloists is not popular here. In America, there's more to stardom than mere consummate artistry.
No.
All right. Just hold on a second. Wait a minute.
Where is it?
Gentlemen, welcome aboard Air Canada. Our flight to Toronto this morning will be 1 hour, and we will be serving you breakfast very
But despite his excellent reputation in the Soviet Union, there are no engagements for Vakhtang. He's told not to go to Toronto, and for career reasons, they decide to play down their romantic attachment.
Welcome to the hall.
Thank you.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yes. It's very modern and it's round.
It's wonderful.
In only a few hours, Victoria Mullova will perform here before an audience of 3,000.
Because he's got this chord with you on the hold. And if we can hold and then cut off together, that might be a really nice effect.
Yes.
Can we try that? If I can remember what those chords are. Too many double sharps. I can't.
Okay. Usually I'm very nervous. Even if I don't show it, of course I'm thinking about my playing. It doesn't matter for me where to play, big stage or... Even if I would have 5 people were listening to me. It's the same.
Where's the car? Oh,
Oh, limousine again.
Isn't that something? Oh, you picked up in a limo? Madam? T for 3.
T for 2.
How do you know that tune?
What?
T for 2.
T for 2. I know this song.
You do?
Yes.
Do you do a soft chew when you sing it?
Same one, sir.
Second staircase. It's the first row to the left.
Yes, just around the corner there. Hi. That's R1 to your right on the main floor. Just
Thank you.
Wearing the jeans she defected in and with her concert dress in a paper bag, Victoria prepares for her debut in the West, without the support of Vakhtang, her musical and emotional mainstay.
It's a big opportunity for her. But she's amazing. She seems to be, she's got nerves of steel. She's really very confident about what she's doing. Well, you've got to have that kind of confidence when you walk out on stage, especially a big hall like this. I don't know what to expect playing with her. I can guess that she's probably going to be very much the way she was during rehearsals. It'll be interesting when we play more together to see, once we're both comfortable, hopefully, with how we relate to each other on stage.
My legs are shaking. I almost died. Maybe people think that it's all right, but I know every time what I have to change and what I played not so well. I'm never satisfied, you know.
But was it all right?
I don't know.
It's autumn. There's plenty of work for Victoria, but Vakhtang is still without an engagement. He tries to read new scores and to keep his arms in trim with press-ups, but it's galling to live off her money, and he misses his home and his family.
He's a very good musician. He's a beautiful conductor, and it's unfair that he has no opportunity to conduct yet. He's just waiting for maybe some of the conductors can be ill.
It was through the illness of another that Vakhtang got his chance, stepping in at the last minute to conduct at the Carnegie Hall. It's an unfamiliar orchestra, an unfamiliar language, and there are just 2 days rehearsal before the big day. But it's still a sweet moment for a man who used to conduct 100 concerts a year.
Sorry, ma'am, that apartment's been taken.
It's already, excuse me. Hello, I saw your advertisement in the newspaper about the apartment. Can I look at the apartment?
For their first few months in America, Victoria and Vakhtang have lived a nomadic life in the flats of friends. But she's earning good money now, up to $10,000 a concert, and she can afford to rent a flat of her own.
This is a 2-bedroom apartment. It's got a terrace. It's centrally air-conditioned. It has 2 bathrooms and a very modern kitchen. It's $1,600. The kitchen includes a double oven, a dishwasher, and a very brand new refrigerator. You're the first person that would live in this apartment.
Victoria has come from a system where the state decides where you live. She's bewildered by this world of apartments and condominiums, of terms of letting and subletting.
So that when you're not upstairs in the pool, but you want to maybe barbecue, let's stay.
I have the same view in Moscow. The same, exactly. The house, the building, big building, in front of, and a little piece of river.
A little piece of river.
Yes, it was the same.
So, same real estate. It's not a different world.
Always it was my dream to conduct in Carnegie Hall, especially after Defected. It was so beautiful for me because this hall is most important for every musician. I didn't know how the orchestra would receive me, but after a few minutes I was more comfortable. For conductor, orchestra is his instrument.
The nice thing also about this brownstone is that people care where they live, and everybody sees that it's taken care of. And
Apartment is the biggest problem I have now. I had the same problem in Moscow, but it's different because I couldn't find anything. I only don't know if the neighbors
will complain about you.
Now I can choose. I can go and see what I like, what I don't like. I couldn't imagine that it can be so expensive to live in New York.
Investigate how they feel about you. I really don't think that they're going to have much of a problem as long as you play well.
Vakhtang is almost back where he started. Although he'd graced the conductor's rostrum with distinction for 20 years at home, here he has no past. He'll be judged entirely on his performance today. He's wearing an outfit hired for him by the orchestra.
Sold out.
Vakhtang's was an inauspicious start, described by one critic as unexciting, messy, disconnected, and at times chaotic. And now it's Victoria's turn. Her debut in Toronto is followed by a much tougher assignment in Chicago, where she'll play before some of the harshest critics in America.
She will have a great deal of pressure thrown on her in this first year. All the scrutiny will be on her. Although technically and musically one has no reason to doubt her credentials, psychologically, is she going to be able to bear up under this kind of scrutiny, this kind of pressure? That will be the question. She's up against some very talented young musicians, all of whom are trying to carve out a name for themselves, a reputation, a career in a market that is not overly hospitable to young violinists. The glamour, such as it was, of a young defector, I don't think exists anymore. We've had so many of them, very good ones, but I don't think that's going to be enough. The performer has to have something extra, some quality of personality, of musicianship, of whatever that is going to distinguish him and her from that pack out there.
In her own country, it's the state musical bosses who establish and maintain the success and reputation of Soviet artists. Here it's different. The independent critic out there in the audience who can make or break the artist is a concept that's quite unknown to Victoria.
Of the numerous artists who have left the Soviet Union to pursue careers in the less restrictive cultural climate of the West, Victoria Mullova may be the youngest. Already Mullova is beginning to reap the benefits of her well-publicized defection. A young musician less sure of his abilities might wilt under such intense scrutiny, but at her Midwest recital debut, Mullova behaved with the cool aplomb of a recital circuit veteran. Technically, there did not appear to be anything she could not do. Musically, however, Mullova is as yet something of an enigma. For all the finely poised skill with which she put her fiddle through its maneuvers, much of her playing seemed impersonal. Perhaps Mullova is not accustomed to projecting her rather slender tone into an acoustical space as vast as the auditoriums. Perhaps she has not lived with this music long enough to have formed strong ideas about it. Her deep commitment to the art of violin playing cannot be doubted. Now she needs to demonstrate a deeper commitment to the broad range of music itself and learn how to better pass that commitment along to the listener.
The first review is grudging, and Harold Shaw deploys all his skill at selective quotation to console Victoria.
I don't believe in reviews. Of course, we always like to use them when they're very good. Here we are. Did you see these?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, so this is all new. Ah, yes, John Penman. Violinist Mullova holds music and audience. That's fantastic. I think that sounds very good, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You were only 22 last year, it says here. Uh-huh. That's all history about...
Mm-hmm.
Technically, there's absolutely nothing you cannot do. What else is good? You have a deep commitment to the art of violin playing.
What is commitment?
Feeling and promise to play very, very well. It also says, on balance, Mullova seemed most happy in the abstract realm of the Bach. What do you think about that?
No,
they're saying your Bach was very, very good. I think they seem very good.
Yes.
Well, don't try to... You can take it home and read it
Yes.
and very carefully.
But there are some good reviews too.
Here we are. From distinguished to incredible. That's a wonderful headline, isn't it?
Faultless. Her taste.
Her taste is faultless.
Faultless.
I think these are marvelous reviews. But then you play marvelously, so that's justified.
Winter and America's Thanksgiving holiday with a more homely equivalent of the May Day parade. Here, Victoria's snapshots will show children on the viewing stands, not 70-year-old Politburo heads.
I like this country. I didn't like it so much when I came here. It was a difficult time to start because we came without anything. We even didn't have the spoon or the blanket. It's a different world. Very many things are different. You know, in Soviet Union, we heard about the life in the West, and it seemed like they have everything. They don't have any problems, and just beautiful life. I realize now that it's not like we imagined. They have another kind of difficulties here.
It's Victoria's 24th birthday, her first in the West.
Happy birthday to you.
Victoria has come a long way. At the party, there's someone from Harold Shaw's office, someone from the Tolstoy Foundation, her lawyer and her business manager, but no bosom friends.
Make a wish. No, make a wish.
You
can do the same wish again.
A lovely surprise. And after the birthday tea, the telephone call to Moscow, a fragile, tenuous link with home.
One time.
Алло, привет, мам. Спасибо. Ага. Ну, когда-нибудь увидимся.
Я надеюсь, что ты вернешься к нам, Витуся.
Ну, пока что это невозможно, сама знаешь.
Витуся, мы сейчас слышали твое интервью по голосу.
Да.
Витуся, я так понимаю, что ты сказала, что тебе так нравится, там, что ты уже почти привыкла, там, что мне так грустно от этого всего.
Да, ты знаешь, я привыкла. Мне кажется, что уже то, что было, это вообще сон и кошмарный сон. Я иногда даже думаю, что я всю жизнь здесь жила. Да.
куплеты и все такое вообще.
Да.
Вот, потому что мы тут слушаем, и ты сама понимаешь, не только мы слушаем, но и все друзья, знакомые, как-то каждое слово вот отражается, прямо вот ты знаешь. Ой, ну неужели ты вот не вспоминаешь наш дом? А
Вспоминаю. Вспоминаю, как... вообще все вспоминаю, как ужас сплошной. Мне очень много подарков здесь подарили.
Правда?
Да. Знаешь, сколько подарков?
Правда?
Ага. Много золотых вещей.
Ой, да кому они нужны?
Нет, я тебе говорю, просто пересказываю кому. У меня золотой слоник, который мне Вахтанг подарил. Я просто вспомнила, что у меня не было дня рождения такого, и тем более это мой первый здесь день рождения.
Как вот, понимаешь, первый раз, вот ты понимаешь, и мы врозь. Вот мы сидим, тебя отвечаем, за тебя пьем, понимаешь? И мы врозь. Это вот день, который я первый раз, я тоже, это мой день, я стала мамой в этот день.
Да.
Понимаешь, как нам тяжело?
Представляю, я вас вспоминала вчера в 12 часов ночи. Вы, наверное, проснулись рано, да?
Да.
Во сколько?
Скучно, просто тоска, понимаешь, ты себе не представляешь, и чем дальше...
Вы должны быть счастливы, а не...
Какая находится...
Мама, ты должна не плакаться, ты должна быть счастлива. Ты счастлива должна быть, понимаешь?
Что здесь счастлива?
Ну, естественно, счастлива, ты же хочешь мне добра.
Потерять ребенка счастлива.
Это не потерять, а наоборот, приобрести. Ты же приобрела меня, наоборот, ты вспомни, какие у нас отношения были. Ну дай Люду тогда.
Витюся, ну расскажи мне, а где ты живешь? Ты сказала, что ты в новую квартиру, что ли?
Да, теперь уже постоянно был.
Да что, уже покупаешь или как?
Почти.
А там же не продают, ну там не дает государство квартиры.
Нет, государство здесь не дает мне. Слышишь, у меня новый телефон я купила уже себе в квартиру. Там без кнопок. А у меня вообще телефон без кнопок. У меня только прикасаешься пальцами, и он уже звонит. А можно там 10 номеров, которые я часто набираю, сделать на память, memory. И просто нажимать просто одну кнопочку, например, определенную кнопочку из этих 10, и просто соединяет. Представляешь? Колоссально. И в это время счетчик на времени показывает, сколько минут я говорю. Так что мне будет легко с вами говорить, я буду всегда знать, сколько минут.
Слушай, ты, наверное, очень много тратишь денег на эти разговоры.
Да, еще бы. Вот.
Ты эконом, ты все-таки самый еще становишься на ноги.
Ну что делать? Ты же хочешь, чтобы я с тобой говорила? Это же одно из самых важных в жизни. Конечно. Я лучше что-нибудь не куплю и с тобой поговорю. Со всеми с вами. Скажи, мама, одну вещь такую. Тебе в августе не было ничего плохо с тобой? Ничего? Нет? Ты понимаешь, что очень плохие слухи какие-то специально люди распространяют, очень... У Вахтанга говорит, что мама чуть ли не умерла, а тебе тоже уже говоришь, что ты умерла, понимаешь? То есть мы просто волнуемся, кто это делает, и вообще специально как будто вредят. Так что, когда вам что-либо будет вдруг, просто на будущее знайте. Хорошо, я вас всех целую крепко. Спите спокойно.
Спасибо, мой родной.
Ага. Ну, ждите звонка через... А?
Я желаю тебе счастья большого, Вика, чтобы ты была счастлива и нас не забывала.
Florida. Catching up on the childhood she never really had.
It was like a dream. It's the most exciting time I had in my life. It was like I was a child again, and I was reading the books, but these stories I was reading was true. I just wanted to stay for a week there and not to go back.
But the outing to Disney World is brief. Victoria is to appear in A Night of Stars at the grand opening of a brand new arts centre in Clearwater. So brand new that it isn't even finished yet. Everything's a bit behind schedule at the new Ruth Eckert Hall at the Richard B. Baumgartner Center.
Are you excited about doing the show?
Yes, very much.
I think it's going to be very interesting.
It's the first time after my defection, I'm playing with orchestra.
An orchestra? Mm-hmm. I think you'll enjoy the Florida Gulf Coast Symphony. They're a real nice personal bunch, and they're a lot of fun to work with.
Oh, it's so nice to have you. You look beautiful.
Victoria had been to see her childhood heroine Ella Fitzgerald in concert in New York. She has no idea Ella is in tonight's cast.
Oh, yes. Where I fell?
No,
you didn't see that show?
No, but
It was embarrassing. I had new shoes on, and they were slippery. And as I was
but you
walking,
continue to sing
yeah,
at the same time.
Somebody told me, say, you kept the same beat. I said, I kept the same beat. But you from where? Huh? Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Russia.
Oh, congratulations.
I defected from Soviet Union 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You like it here?
Yes, very nice.
The hot dogs and the hamburgers.
We have to steal you for the maestro. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Toi.
I've got to get my stuff. I'll be in.
Thank you. How are you this morning?
Please, without this, is it possible?
Yes, that's what I made here.
Ah, yes.
Maestro Erwin Hoffman is conductor of the Florida Symphony Orchestra. Like much else at the center, he's also behind schedule and annoyed that Victoria is late.
That's it.
That's all? I mean, I'm sorry we haven't had any time to... I mean, because there are all kinds of problems that can be here, you know?
Let me see.
We'll
see, yes.
We'll take the time, you know?
Yes, okay.
Good, and we're going to play in exactly 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right?
I'll play before that.
You need to.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Was out.
I don't know if you know, but in Russia, it's every orchestra is not playing the 2 last notes of the bass, so I can do whatever I want. I don't know, maybe you don't want to do this, but it's usually...
Well, would you play that bar so I see whether it's necessary?
Just 1 not to play.
I wouldn't do it, unless you do something we cannot follow. 9th bar. The octave lower. 9th of G, and. I think being a Soviet artist in this country, she already has attracted a great deal of attention. And that attention will translate itself into performances just like the one she's doing with us. You know, I've often thought as an American that as an open society, we have sometimes neglected our own composers and our own performers because we are so generous toward other people.
Okay, Mac, just let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead.
3, 2, 1. For its grand opening, Ruth Eckert Hall in Clearwater wanted it. Okay. 3, 2, 1. For its grand opening, Ruth Eckert Hall in Clearwater wanted a gala event. so the hall produced its own 3-hour show. For the 2,000 people who paid from $100 to $400, tonight was truly a glittering night of stars.
Top of the bill tonight, above even Ella Fitzgerald, Victoria Mullova.
Thank you. It's a thrill playing for me. I want to make a picture with you.
Gladly. Sit on my lap.
No. One more, okay? No, the flash. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, dear.
A night of stars, as well as Ella Fitzgerald, Donald O'Connor, Mary Martin, and Tony Randall. Strange company for Victoria Mullova, who's being sold here not as a virtuoso violinist, but on her sentimental appeal.
I see you again. Very good.
This is an exciting occasion, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
The gala grand opening of this extraordinary Ruth Eckerd Hall.
Yes, and I had the pleasure of meeting Mrs. Hall this afternoon.
Victoria Mullova, the prize-winning young Soviet violinist, plans to base her career in the United States, where she hopes to find the artistic freedom denied her in her native country.
The last time she played this Paganini was in Moscow. The conductor, Vakhtang. It's 6 months since her arrival, and New Year's Eve, a day of great importance to all Russians.
I didn't think about it in the Soviet Union, but when I came here, I felt like I have to believe in something, and I decided to be baptized. It's difficult to change your thinking and everything all of a sudden. I just felt that it's very important for me to do. And Vakhtang was baptized when he was born.
It was to make a splendid picture for the New Year's Day papers under the caption, "Russian defector received into church."
It's been an amazing day for me. I'll probably remember it all my life. The people whom I met in the church, they were trying to be my family because they knew that I'm on my own here in the West, and it's very important to feel like you have people around you.
Happy New Year!
Victoria has telephoned her parents about her conversion to the Orthodox faith.
I'm in a bad mood, very bad. I was very sad after talking to Moscow, because I booked the call for advance a week before, and I was waiting for this call, and I wanted to tell this to my parents, and wanted them to understand this, and they didn't.
When you look back at 1983, what do you think about mostly?
The last New Year I spent in Georgia with Georgian friends, with relatives of Vakhtang. And it's so strange that now I'm very far from there. I remember this very well.
And what about this last year? If you had it all over again, what would you have done differently?
Nothing. I'm happy that everything was like I wished. Everything.
Spring 1984. Engagement follows engagement. To many critics, Mullova is still an enigma. A dazzling technical performer, certainly, but perhaps her interpretation is a little cool. But other critics wondered whether any more could be expected of one so young, whose very escape to the West had depended on her concealing her emotions.
In Soviet Union, you reach sort of level. For example, I won the Tchaikovsky competition, the top of competitions. And after that, I felt like it's the ceiling above me through which I cannot pass. And I can't grow, I can't develop myself. Because I know that this life, which I now have, will be forever. This sort of life with these difficulties, and nothing will change. Even can be worse. But here in the United States, it's so different. Everything is possible, future in front of you, and everything depends on how clever you are and how strong you are.
There are probably about 120 engagements a year in this country among the orchestras for major violinists of a real professional stature. And you start to divide that 120 amongst Milstein, Stern, Perlman, Zuckerman, Oliveira, Jensen, and on down the line, and you come up with 10 very good names, Miriam Fried, come up with 10 very good names, and you divide 10 into 120, and you've got 12 engagements for each of them. It's very, very competitive. The answer is the best ones stay at the top. And that there's no, there's no other way.
You played marvelously. I have a present for you.
In her first year, Victoria had 20 concerts, Wachtang 2.
This year I lived through Victoria's success because it's the same for me. Her success is my success. It's my pleasure, my life. You know, I don't regret what I did because now I'm living in free country. Is the first question for me, the first thing for me, because I was tied there. This politics, which I hate. And now I already told I'm free. I'm waiting for my job. I hope it will be. Sometimes it's very difficult for me because sometimes it's terrible for me because I already told I had very many concerts there. But I hope it will be okay. Everything will be okay.
A year ago, Victoria Mullova arrived here penniless. In 12 months, she's earned $175,000, and next season she'll more than double that. With youth, looks and talent, hers is the apparently effortless success normally reserved for pop stars.
I didn't realize that it's a very competitive world here in the West. It's not like we are coming from Soviet Union like heroes. It takes a lot of energy and strength to go through this life, to build the career. But it's freedom. Everything depends on you, yourself.
When she's not on the concert platform, Victoria Mullova rarely goes out. She stays in watching old films on her video and eating Chinese takeaways. In the profit and loss account of her life so far, she's won fame and fortune, but she knows that she's lost her roots and her family, and that there's only one way ahead.